Hi everyone, it's Chelle from Chelle Crochet. Welcome to my October update. Hi everyone, welcome back. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. I kind of can't believe it's the end of October already. Wow, 2020. What a year. And man, for me, it's been going really fast. So at least that's good, right? So I have some finished objects to talk about. I am not going to discuss whips this month because they're all gifts. And there's even an elephant in the room that I can't really discuss because although I made it in October, it's also a gift. And yeah, so why don't we jump on in? Let's start with some pumpkin stuff. Pumpkin stuff, get it? Like stuffed pumpkins? Haha. Anyway, you're going to see a few of these on the screen. There's some really tiny ones that have already been made and left. I made another orange one that's big like this one that I'll pop up a picture of. And the pumpkin pattern I use are a combination of all the different tutorials I've watched in the last couple of years. Jade and Stitches, Bella Coco. I tried Krista from the Secret Yarneries one, but I was finding with this yarn here, which I'll talk about in a second, the double crochets were too gappy for me and my stuffing was going to show through. So I had to go back to the other. Basically, it is back post half double crochet, which I'm using most often. Sometimes I do a regular row of half double in there just to give it a little texture because all pumpkins don't look alike. But yeah, so I love making them, and a friend of mine requested the orange one that's on the screen. And I made a couple little guys for my mom in different colors. She likes white, so there's a tiny little white guy. But I wanted to try this yarn. This is Premier Parfait, I guess it's called. And I think it was called blue when I bought it, but it really does look teal, more teal in real life than it does on the camera to me, but you might be seeing that better than I am. And it is a velvety yarn. And then so I decided to just do the top stem and curlicue guy with some Bernat velvet yarn that I had on hand. I also stuffed this with some clothing that was black with the fiberfill in the middle so that the white wouldn't come through at all. And yeah, I like making stuffed pumpkins and I have a plethora of them now. I decided that the colored one I wanted to add to my collection for this year would be teal. So yeah, any questions about the pumpkins, just leave a comment below and I am happy to answer it for you. So let's continue with some little things. Mug cozy. Actually in here, what I tried for the first time for me was the hag stitch. Hi Ryan. And I just made a cute little mug cozy with a button. For the mug cozy itself, I just made a rectangular piece and decided to trim it in black and put a little loop and a button, and that was it. Really simple. There's tons of actual mug cozy patterns on YouTube if you're looking for one. And the reason I made it is just to finish off the last little bit of this wool, which is a mill end, and I made a hat and cowl set out of it, which I'm going to show you right now. So more than one of the yarns I've used this month came from mill end bags or grab bags. So mill end bags would have come from Yarn Inspirations and their mystery bags, and then the grab bags would have come from Michael's, and they just tend to have a bunch of different yarns in them. So this is wool, and I actually started to use this last winter. It's this color of taupey, sandy, beige, I don't know. It's kind of a masculine color to me, but I consider it a gender neutral set. So this is the cowl or neck warmer, and this is the hat. So in here I was doing primarily half double crochet with some post stitches, and I even mixed it up for a little bit of texture. So sometimes I was alternating doubles and half doubles just to give it that texture look. Yeah, just some simple. I'm kind of seeing this as for a man. It's a little bit big for a lady, I think, especially the hat part. But yeah, so super cozy. Okay. Another set. I had one skein of Lion Brand homespun, but the thick and quick. So I don't mind homespun at all. Not a fan of the thick and quick. So for the thick and quick, I feel like you really kind of have to stick to the basic stitches. So this is a basic beanie. I'm gonna stick it on for you. Too small for me, but you know, it'll fit somebody and it'll be nice and cozy. And then just a little Mobius cowl. I decided to put the twist on it. I wanted to use the one skein for both, just to use up the full skein of yarn, which I did. And I find that if you put a twist on a infinity scarf that isn't quite big enough to go around twice, you get that. So you'll be able to fold it up nicely. And then when it's hanging down, it still has a little bit of interest depending upon how you wear it. So I will put the name of the colorway, which I feel like I should be able to remember, but I can't right now. So it is considered a stripes, but it's got all these really nice jewel tones in it. Yeah. So one set. Ta-da! Maybe for a sec I should just stop and let you know what I'm wearing. This is a granny square poncho that I made for myself. And I'll pop up a picture as well. And it's all shawl and a ball scraps. I keep playing around with the ponchos with the points in the front and the back because I like to soften that point, and I haven't found a really great pattern or tutorial that does that. And I don't mean just rounded. I just want it softened. I still want the point to be there. I still want the V-neck. I just want to be able to have the sleeves get longer before the point becomes too long. So for this one, I just doctored her up on the sides myself, kind of went back and forth a little bit, but not in a way that I can repeat it, unfortunately. Anyway, I'm just playing around with that idea. And this is super great to be able to wear because it's shawl and a ball. It is drapey as all get out, and it's not heavy, so it's comfortable. So that's why this is my favorite poncho. This is my favorite wearable I've ever made, and it was basically a complete accident. So again, it's got shawl and a ball scraps, and I already posted a picture for you. Right here beside me is a triangle shawl. So I finally played with my Roll With It Sparkle, Red Heart Roll With It Sparkle in the colorway Eclipse. Popping up a picture here of what the actual cake looks like because I pulled out the lighter colors. So I pulled out the beige and I pulled out the white and the silver. And I kept the gray, sort of it comes from a taupe, I guess. The taupe to the gray, to the green, it's an army green, darker blue and lighter blue, and then I reversed it back down. It actually started in the corner, obviously, disappearing. So it's just a triangle scarf. It's not a full shawl size, and it's super sparkly. I'm not sure how much the camera is going to pick up, but it will definitely go underneath and cowl up nicely. No need to do anything to fasten it. It's going to stay just fine the way it is. It's interesting. The yarn is a little stretchy. The yarn is okay in softness, but I guess with that streamer running through it, it takes some of that away. But the streamer itself, and I don't know if anyone else has experienced this, but I could have decorated my Christmas tree with the little cuttings from where this is the silver streamer was broken throughout both cakes. I don't know if that's a thing that always happens. I mean, there's still tons of sparkle left over, which is what redeems it for me, but it's not pleasant to crochet through a broken streamer that's sticking out all the time. And you either have to go out and keep clipping it as you go, or just put up with it and do it all at the end. So I kind of did a combination thereof, but I do like the end result. So let me know if you guys have made any bigger projects with it, with the Roll With It Sparkle, and if you had that experience or not. One other thing, when I was deciding on a border for this, because often on a triangle piece with corner to corner, you're going to square it out. I just did, you know how sometimes if you're a little short on yarn, you can cheat on corner to corner. Instead of doing 3 double crochets with your chain 3, you could do 2. Well, I did that all across, and it just softened it enough to almost make it look like a border. So I was really happy with that. Hope I'm not making you dizzy by turning it around. And yeah, it's just softened it quite enough. And I opted to not border the actual square pieces, because square sides, because I like the color change to show and I don't want to interrupt the color change. It doesn't really need it anyway, but anyway, I thought that was cool, and I will always remember I can do that with my corner to corners from now on. On to the next. So one of the other things I typically make in fall or near Halloween are pumpkin sacks, and I have a bunch of them, so I didn't make any extra ones this year. But when I was talking with a friend about that, she said, well, what about something like that for Christmas? And I said, I have a couple of these really cool sparkle yarns that could work. And then I mentioned red, and she's like, Santa sacks. So here we go. I have some Santa sacks. Same concept. So you start it like a bag at the bottom, where you're going to chain whatever width you'd like, and then put a few extra stitches at each end so that you can continue in the round. Jada and Stitches does her market bag bottoms that way, if anyone needs to look something up. And then I just work in spiral with half double crochet until it's as tall as I'd like it. And then I changed to white at the top, and then I gave it a eyelet row so you can put the drawstring through it, and I put some beads on the bottom of the drawstring. So I have a bunch of these. I have modified where I'm putting the drawstring. Some of them are when it's still red and some of them are when it's still white. And I love putting just a little bead at the bottom, give it a little bit of something a little extra. The red was a mill end bag, and it's super thick. It's a little bit odd, this red. It has like a weird texture to it, but I would never know how to find it again or tell you how to find it. So it was good for this because it's nice and plush for a 4-weight yarn. And then the top is actually Red Heart Comfort shimmers in white. And the shimmer in the white doesn't show nearly as much as it did in the gray, which reminds me, I almost would have forgotten to talk about this because I don't have it with me anymore. One of my whips from last month was a birthday present for my mother, and it is done and gifted. Her birthday was October the 4th. And she gave me some pictures so I can show you. So first of all, I'm going to pop up a picture of when I was working on it so you can see the stitches a little bit closer up. And then I'm going to pop up a couple of pictures of how she's had it displayed in her room. And there's a bit of a story here. I made her a throw a few years ago, and I made it out of the Red Heart ombre in the gray color, which I can never say the name of, but you guys know which one I mean. And I don't even know if they have it anymore. But she said when she washed it, it turned purple. So like not like bright purple or anything like that, but she said after the second time she washed it, the darker sections of the gray in that blanket ended up looking purple. So anybody else who's worked with that gray toned in the ombre, let me know if that's happened to you or not. When I do lift that yarn up towards the light, I could see a little bit of a purple sheen to it or shade to it. So I'm just curious to see if that's happened to anybody else. And of course the washing instructions were followed according to the label, but I just wonder if it's how they dye gray yarn sometimes that they end up with a bit of a purple hue to them after they're laundered. The pattern I used for my mom's blanket was my own. I just chained an amount that I needed to have an even count after the foundation. And I was using double crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet cross stitches. And this yarn was Red Heart Comfort gray shimmers. So it goes on the label, it says gray silver in the 340 gram balls. I think that's their size, the huge ones anyway. And it was just under three balls. I have about a quarter of a ball left, and it's throw size. So thanks to my Santa sack for reminding me to talk about that gray blanket. A couple of other things I'm working on for Christmas. I have a couple of examples here are wine bottle or booze bottle bags. So I thought I would make use of some of the cotton I got from Spin Right because I have more of it than I had intended to get. Remember that story? And anyway, it's just, yeah, I start in the round. I do a basket bottom, so it's nice and sturdy at the bottom. And then come up the sides with a couple of rounds of single or half double. And then as soon as I can and think it's sturdy enough at the bottom, I switch to double crochet so that I can build it quicker. And then pull it back down to some half doubles to do the eyelet row, put the drawstring in for the beads. And then I still continue and do a little handle on top. They may turn out a little bit different size-wise depending on the yarn you use. So this one was some light gray with some silver. So the silver in here, I don't know if the sparkle is going to show in the camera, but the silver in here was pulled out of that Red Heart sparkle cake, held with some impeccable I had in a very light gray, and then the top is just done in that comfort white shimmers with some beads. And I'm putting, guess I can show you this part too. I'm putting 2 beads at the top, as they're just the right width that they'll hold this as like a bit of a center, if you like. And then you can just do your bow and you have a couple of beads at the bottom as well. So I'm working on a few of those. Some friends have requested those for gifts. It's going to be an interesting year for gifts for Christmas this year. So we've got to make things festive and simple. And I love the idea of being able to give someone something that they can keep with something that they're going to consume as well, because then there's something left over at the end, right? So elephant in the room, you can kind of see it on the chair beside me. I'm only going to point out that I did a blanket project using corner to corner and trying that marled idea I had, where I took several colors of the same kind of yarn and then I doubled them. So held double, corner to corner, held double, super warm. So let's just pick colors. I'm going to pick random colors. If I started with a blue, it would be a solid blue, and then I'd pull in a teal, and then the teal and the blue would go together, and then I'd go to the solid teal, and then I'd pull in pink, and then the pink and the teal would go together, and then I do a solid pink. So I'm marling it as I go, and one color has to go into the next color. So it was a very interesting project, and I wanted to be able to try it with a certain type of yarn that I have quite a bit of. And once the gift is gifted, I will actually show you the blanket, and I'll take some good pictures of it. I might even take a little video because I won't be able to show it to you until after it's gone to its new home. But yeah, I was really happy with how it turned out, and it is super warm because of holding the yarn double. So more about that maybe next month. We'll see when I get to deliver the gift. And one more blanket. This blanket was just assembly. I only had to finish a few triangles so that I could then assemble my diamond granny square blanket. So I will pop up a picture so you can see how it looked on my bed when I laid it out. It is 5 colored rows by 8 colored rows with all the black in between. So there's 40 colored squares, and there are, I have to check my notes. So 40 colored squares, 28 black squares, and then 14 black triangles on the side. And I have a funny looking sketch of how I figured out how to put it together. That's how I figured out how to put it together. Because I was thinking, like, how do you assemble things on a diamond? I looked and I looked and I could not find any decent tutorials. If you have, please leave me a comment so that I know to go and look up a tutorial. This was not as bad as it seems, though. You just have to get your head wrapped around the fact that when you're joining them so they're straight this way. And then you can just add the triangles after, or sometimes I was able to add the triangle as I went on each side. A couple of things. I really am happy with, and you'll see this better in the pictures, I'm really happy with how the colors went together. There was 2 of each color of 20 colors. And so that's how the number started. So it's much longer than it is wide, which is fine. Next time I might have done, say, 42 color squares. But when I got to the point of putting this together, I wanted to stick with where I was at because I knew how much black I was going to have to make. And also because all the color squares are trimmed with a black round. So these are 6 round grannies using a 7mm hook, and it is worsted scraps. Most of it would be a Bernat yarn or a spin right yarn like Teal, which is usually Bernat anyway. And the black is all loops and threads, impeccable in the big skeins. So the black is all the same yarn, but the colors are all different scraps. It started as a scrap project, right? It started way back when Season of the Granny was going on, and then I decided I wanted to be able to put this together differently because I'd never done one before. And so what I would do differently next time is I would make my colored squares bigger, just so that I don't have to make as many, and also the same with the black. I would have to make less that way to get the size blanket that I wanted. I think maybe my tension has changed over the years too, so I probably don't really need the 7mm hook anymore, although it does go nice and fast when you use a 7mm hook, and it's super drapey. Depends how warm you want the blanket to be too. It's not terrible in terms of ends because you're only really changing color once, and it's only for the colored squares. But you do have a lot of ends when you put it together in terms of all the joins, right? That's a lot of squares. Especially if you think of my blanket from last month where, you know, those were individual cakes and each cake was a square. Like that assembly required there was way less than in this one. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. So another one done. If you have any questions about this blanket, because I've babbled on long enough about it right now, just leave me a comment and I'm happy to answer you. So one last project before I get on to the hat brigade. And I made myself a new bath mat for the bathroom. And this was a whip last time. So here it is in real life. And I will pop up a picture so you can see how big it is. I was looking at different ways of lining it, making it less slippery, because it's just Bernat blanket yarn and mallard wood. It was a gift for my birthday, this yarn. But what I've ended up doing is just putting it on top of our existing bath mat, which is backed with that rubbery stuff, and it goes perfectly over top of it and it doesn't move. So it's an easy fix for right now, and it gives my bathroom a little something something. You know, the little teal interest with the brown that's already in there. So that was fun and easy and super squishy and makes the floor not cold. Okay, so on to the hat brigade. Let's start with my October hat for Seta's Calendar Cal 2020 using the Alaska calendar and my fur palms. I finally figured out how to use some of these. You can see on the calendar that brown was one of the colors. I had this really cool yarn that I find at Len's Mills on clearance sometimes. It is Lion Brand Unique. And the colorway for this one is called Harvest. I mean, the calendar, there is some yellows in there. See that? The calendar was showing more like yellows and reds, but I just really liked this yarn and I thought it went enough. There's browns in there too. It's super warm. It's got a bit of a sheen to it. And then I thought I could add the brown pom-pom as a bit of brown interest for how it goes with the photo part. And this is just a half double crochet beanie in the round. This was actually bottom up, which I barely ever do, and then just spiraled. And one of the things I was stumbled across this month that is making me very happy is invisible decreases. So for the shaping at the top of the hat, I was using some invisible decreases. If I can find the video where I learned that, I will link that in the description box below. But she was showing a demonstration of invisible decreases for single, double, and half double. And it is way less obvious than what I had been originally shown as decreases or regular decreases. So I'm happy with that. All right. This is just a lot of the hats I made this month are made in the spiral. And the reason they're made in the spiral is because I hate seams. And sometimes you just want to sit down and make a hat and not have to think about it. So that's what I've done. So until I learn a pattern off by heart that I can just sit there and do. Plus I like just making up my own patterns because you feel creative while you're working and you're not just following someone else's. But anyway, this is just a regular beanie style hat. I'll put this one on. I think it can fit me. No, it doesn't. But anyway, it's a beanie, so it's not super long. And it's just got some post stitches here, which you can probably not even see with how textured this is. But I found an end again. Okay, gotta fix that. Anyway, I held the black yarn double with the sparkly white from the Roll With It Sparkle Cakes. And then just did some post stitches at the bottom for a bit of a brim. So it's super sparkly. I don't know, that probably won't come through on the camera, but it's cute. Okay, this one should fit me. This is a men's beanie. I had another gray skein of yarn. It's gray and marled. And Crystal, I have a question for you because you might know. Do you have any idea what this yarn is? Because it was in a grab bag from Michael's. It's a big skein for sure, which makes me think it's a loops and threads yarn. But this almost feels like it could have cotton in it to me. And I'm very curious what it could be. So it does have that salt and pepper marled look to it. And it's definitely a I kind of wish I had an end on this one. It's definitely at least a 5. It could be a 6. But it has that different feel to it. And I have a feeling it's spun a little differently too. Anyway, here's the hat. Another beanie. Probably in the male category. This is probably a little person's beanie made from some roll with a tweed. Wait. I'm gonna get those mixed up. Made with some mandala tweed stripes, scraps leftover from a couple of the hats I did earlier for the Sudda's calendar cal. So I picked out the like colors from this one and did some post stitches and then come down. Let me see how I did. Seam's not terrible on that one, but I prefer no seam at all. And I'm not going to try this one on because I don't think it's going to fit me at all. So cute though. And this is another beanie. This one has a seam too. You can tell by my disdain. I put some cross stitches in this one, I think. And some double crochets mostly, and then some half doubles and singles at the bottom. In Teal soft worsted in the color camel. So just a nice little one. I don't think that'll fit me either. And then what I'm calling my hats for the littles. So there's a whole bunch of these. This was a bag of mill ends. And I thought I stumbled across this yarn, unless this was a grab bag that had all one yarn in it. Because I really thought I stumbled across this yarn at Michael's. But anyway, a lot of these are made in the spiral. This one looks like it is. And they're kids' hats. They're super warm because this definitely has wool in it. So there's a bunch of these for donation. 1. That's just a completely spiral beanie. 2. 3. 4. And 5. And that one has a little post stitches at the bottom. So hopefully those will come in handy to charity. I'm sure by now all of you have been participating and seeing all Rose's wonderful work with wings this year. Sort of at the beginning of the year, I decided that instead of being able to send her things because of the shipping, unfortunately, I was going to find someone to work with here locally to me, and I have done that, but I haven't asked if it's okay to mention where it is. But it is a shelter and they do look after families there, so and it's very local to me here where I live, so I will talk about that more in November if they tell me that's okay. But I have a whole bunch of things that will be going, so more later on that. And thank you, Rose, so much for the inspiration, and it always feels great to give. In the past, what I've done is allowed my friends to let me know where they would like to deliver charity items to, just because I feel like there's a specific need and attachment to it that way. But this was a great way to figure out something to do for this year, and I'm sure the need may be even higher or greater than normal this year. So let me know in the comments below what kinds of things you're doing for charity in your area and how it's going in terms of people being willing to accept it. One of the things I'm planning to do is letting them know that I'm going to pack away the things I'm bringing on X day, put it in my trunk, and ask them how comfortable they are for me to leave it in my trunk for, say, 3 days. That's supposed to be the magic number, 72 hours, and then bring it so that they can feel safe, and then they can do the same on their end if they prefer. Just leave it sitting for a few days and then go through it. That should make people comfortable with taking in the handmade items, hopefully, anyway. All right, so I am not going to talk about yarn this month because I didn't buy any yarn this month. So I have not purchased any yarn since August. You did see some last month because it arrived in September. I have not been to Michael's, I have not been to Walmart, and I have barely looked online because I still have enough yarn. I did not count my labels, although I am still keeping them for the most part. But with some of the bigger projects, the irony is you don't get as many labels. But I still have, that coffee tin's not full yet, but it's getting there. And I don't have any acquisitions whatsoever for the month of October. So yay, because you don't always need to have acquisitions, or at least I don't. And I'm not going to talk about whips again because my whips are gifts. So it's going to be a little bit weird until Christmas season is over. But hey, at least it makes the video shorter, right? I will be back because I'm going to do the fall questions tag that has been going around. And I have seen some awesome videos that seem like lots of fun. And thank you, Crystal, for tagging me in that. In the meantime, I just wanted to say that I hope you all are doing well, and I thank you for spending this time with me. If you have any questions about anything I talked about today, because I feel like I was really going quite quickly, please don't hesitate to leave me a comment below. I love hearing from you, and let me know what you're working on. Are you guys working on Christmas stuff already? It's getting to be that time. I can't believe it's going to be Halloween on Saturday. Happy Halloween, everybody, and we will talk to you later. Have a great day and happy crochet.